What's up, you guys? I'm Rachel DeMita, and welcome to the Courtside Club. We are back again with another update on the WNBA CBA negotiations, and I honestly feel like I'm living Groundhog Day over and over and over again because the same things keep happening. So like we talked about in a previous episode, the deadline for the first 30-day extension that the WNBA and the WNBPA agreed upon, that expired just yesterday on November 30th. And I remember when I was on my Thanksgiving vacation last week, I'm keeping track of the headlines. I'm not watching too much basketball, but I'm trying to keep track of what's going on. And I was thinking, it's kind of quiet in the WNBA world. Like, no one's saying anything about this deadline that is quickly approaching. And I feel like we didn't hear anything about this deadline that was quickly approaching until the end of the evening last night. And it was announced that the WNBA and the WNBPA have agreed to a second extension of the current collective bargaining agreement minutes before the first extension was set to expire on Sunday night. It now expires on January 9th of 2026. So I was following along on Twitter, and I remember the first update that they gave was that the WNBPA offered a 24-hour extension on the first extension. Okay, so that was the first thing that they offered. And then the WNBA came back and they offered a 21-day extension. And then I guess the WNBPA didn't like that extension, so they were like, no, we can't do 21. We need to do 40 days. But that's kind of weird, right? You go from offering 24-hour extension, which in my mind either means that they're so close that they feel like they can get it done that quickly, like they only need another 24 hours to get everything wrapped up and the new CBA will be penned in, stamped, and they'll be ready to go for the next season. Or they were saying 24 hours because they're basically like, you guys are pissing us off. You have 24 hours. The WNBPA is trying to call the WNBA's bluff, and then they come back with 21 days, and then the Players Association is like, no, we need longer. That didn't make so much sense to me at all. Like, if you guys understand the logic behind that, please let me know in the comments below. Stormy, what are you doing, bud? The cats are happy I'm back. And then this is what the union said in a statement. They said, we expect substantive, what is this word? We expect substantive That's not a word, is it? Substantive movement from the league within this window. Hold on. Substantive. Okay, that makes sense. I feel like I know what this word means. I just don't know how to pronounce it. Meaning they need significant movement from the league within this window. And that is a statement from the Players Association. And as we've known, the Players Association, I honestly don't think they've been handling a lot of things so professionally throughout all of this. And like we've seen over the past 2 seasons, a lot of the statements that they put out, they just have this kind of attitude attached to it. It's never it's never just like a professional statement. It's always feels like a clap back. When they said they're putting lipstick on a pig, or we see you and we call BS and this and that. There's just been a lot from the WNBPA that seems to be their tactic throughout these negotiations, is just saying that they're not happy, or it's a slap in the face. Like, this offer is a slap in the face. We've heard that so many times when it comes to the negotiations. And also, you guys, similar to the previous extension, both sides have the option to opt out of the new deadline with 48 hours notice. So the main sticking point remains the salary model. Last week, the WNBA presented a proposal that included a maximum salary of over $1 million, which represents a historic number in the league, which had a salary cap of $1.5 million per team this past season. So we've also talked about this, you guys. The WNBA's most recent offer for the players was a max salary of $1.1 million. However, the Supermax base salary would be around $850K, maybe a little bit more, and then you could reach that $1.1 million mark with revenue sharing and other bonuses throughout the year. So it wasn't like you were guaranteed that $1.1 million. It came with other things. And so a lot of people who are on the WNBPA side were saying oh, they're just putting out false information. But again, all of this stuff has gotten really messy. Not much has changed. So if you guys want to know the last offer that the WNBA presented, then please watch my last episode where I talk about this, because we go into more detail about the numbers of it all. Of course, as As I'm editing this episode, Alexa Filippo gave us a new update with the league's latest proposal. The max salary in 2026 would be a guaranteed $1 million base salary. Projected revenue sharing would push earnings for max players to earn more than $1.2 million. So this is the biggest thing right here. The 2026 average salary is projected at over $500,000. And if you guys remember, the max salary for this past season was around $200,000. So that's a huge jump, as the average will be around $500,000, and the minimum salary is projected as pretty much the max salary from last season, $225,000. And then the salary cap would increase to $5 million in 1 year and would be tied directly to revenue growth in each year of the CBA. So obviously the WNBA is offering a huge increase here, and we'll have to see if this moves the needle at all with the Players Association. The last CBA that was negotiated, it was agreed upon in January. So it's kind of not out of the norm that it's taking this long for the two sides to agree on a new CBA. The thing that's different this year is that they have expansion teams. They need to do the expansion draft. And last year, the expansion draft was held in December. And so obviously, if they're still in these negotiations, they're not going to be able to do that. And then if they don't do that, the free agency this year is so much different than any other free agencies that we've had in the past. So last year's expansion draft happened in the first week of December, which is like now, basically. And the league can't conduct a draft for the Toronto Tempo and Portland Fire without a new CBA. After the expansion draft comes an unprecedented free agency period. All but 2 league veterans are set to become unrestricted free agents. And that's why even a lot of you guys were asking me, like, what players do you want to see the Fever keep, or who do you expect to go where? And honestly, like, I have no clue. We don't know who's going to stay where, who's going to be protected, what this expansion draft is going to entail, because it's also, this expansion draft will not run the same like last year's did for the Golden State Valkyries. We don't even know the structure of this expansion draft yet. So yes, they still have time to get this CBA done and for the season to start on time, but they don't have as much time as they've had in the past. And so that's why I think a lot of people who are worried about them having a 2026 season, it's like, you can't stall for that much longer because there's all of these business things that need to get done. And like we've seen from the WNBA, if they still have the same people in power, like they're not always the most organized organization. Now, other fans were mentioning that they thought it was interesting that the extension that now goes to January 9th is right before Unrivaled starts. And obviously we've talked about the conflict of interest many times. More and more players are not only signed with Unrivaled, but also signing with Project B. And as time continues to go, more and more players are going to be signing to these off-season leagues. From what has been reported, and from my understanding, it doesn't seem like these off-season leagues are part of this CBA. It was leaked earlier on in the year that Satu Sabally said that the WNBA didn't want its players playing in off-season leagues, but luckily, it seems like that's not something that's in this CBA, because if that were the case, then we absolutely would not have a 2026 season. I don't know. My gut is saying that there will be a season, because I think it would be one of the dumbest things that you could possibly do to lock out or strike. I do think that the WNBPA is pushing as hard as they possibly can. Like, they are not budging on anything. Now, will the WNBA budge? I'm also not sure, because it seems like the sticking point is this revenue sharing. It says the current CBA, which the players opted out of last October, includes a revenue sharing model that pays players a percentage of excess revenue after certain targets are reached. Because the targets were cumulative, I cannot read today. I think I'm still on vacation brain. Anyway, beginning with the 2020 season, the COVID pandemic made it all but impossible for players to reach them, which again, it's like everybody had COVID times. Like, COVID shouldn't have set the WNBA back that far. Do you know what I mean? If it set the WNBA back that far, it means that the WNBA like wasn't that far ahead. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's no way that you can blame the reason that you're not reaching targets because of 2020. Every other league survived 2020 and is doing just fine. Revenue sharing was never triggered under the current CBA, and the salary cap rose by a fixed rate of 3% every year. The union's priority has been a model similar to the NBA that guarantees players a percentage of all basketball-related income, not just league revenue. And I think the thing is here is that if women's basketball ends up being a bubble, and that's what I think, if I'm speculating, on what the owners and what the league is saying or what they're thinking in all of this. They're thinking if this happens to be some sort of bubble, kind of like women's basketball insanity, like this bubble of popularity, and the trend doesn't continue upward. And we've also seen like there is one player in this league that a lot of this popularity hinges on. And so I'm just wondering if they're like, we can't give up so much, because what if it's a bubble and the popularity doesn't sustain and it doesn't keep going up? Now, I think all of us believe that women's basketball will continue to get more and more popular because there's all these younger players that are coming in that fans are really excited about. But I think the league is being like, we can't just go all in after 2 years of unprecedented success that the WNBA has never seen in its 28 year history of the league. They saw a rise that was so quick, but do they put all their eggs in this basket and say, sure, like we'll give you the revenue sharing because we know we're going to make this much money? I think if, again, this is all speculation, I would think that they're probably just like, we have to try to pay the players a high salary and then see how it goes and then give them more revenue sharing. But the players are like, we've seen how much this grows. Like, we need the revenue sharing now. It has to grow. The revenue sharing has to grow with the league's growth. And they are just convinced that this league is going to continue to shoot straight to the moon. And then it says, in addition to a revamped salary model, the players' priorities include improved benefits, the codification of charter flights, and league-wide standards for working conditions between franchises. According to multiple sources, while topics outside of the issue of pay have been discussed, serious headway has not been made on them. Other issues on the table are prioritization, a rule introduced in 2020 requiring players to be in their WNBA markets in the time for training camp or face suspension. And this also plays into those off-season leagues, and previously it had tied into them playing in overseas basketball leagues like Euro League and anyway, not Project B, not Athletes Unlimited, not Unrivaled. We know in all of these negotiations, neither side is going to get everything that they want at this point in time, but I can't even make a prediction at this point. Like I told you guys, I feel like they would all be so dumb to not get something done because of the momentum that they have. Nobody wants to hear about all this. Like, I was seeing so many tweets of people saying like, just let us know if there's going to be a season. I'm like tired of the drama. I'm tired of the back and forth. It's not even enjoyable to talk about anymore. And honestly, it's not so enjoyable for me to talk about as well, but I do want to keep you guys updated on what's going on. And I know a lot of people, like, they just want to watch basketball. We want to see a 2026 season. But of course, you guys, please let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below. Thumbs up this video if you enjoyed it. Click that little subscribe button because we upload new videos every single week. And I know that it's been pretty much a full week since my last episode, but I needed that little reset, and I appreciate you guys giving me the time with my family. And I'm ready to go. I'm excited. We have a lot of things brewing for you for December. And I'm also considering doing Radmas again. If you guys have been subscribed for a while, please let me know if you want another 12 days of Radmas, because that was really fun. We did that last year. So with all of that, that's all I've got for you guys, and I will see you next time. Ooh, and